Thanks for watching WCCO, also streaming on CBSN Minnesota.
A gunfire ended a life in St. Paul tonight. The deadly shooting happened about 4 hours ago near Western and Concordia Avenues in the Summit University neighborhood. WCCO's Jeff Wagner joins us now live with some new details from the police. Jeff, what'd you find out?
Yeah, Frank, we had just talked with officers mentioning that this is the 18th homicide of the year, describing what happened along Concordia near Western as a raw and emotional scene with a large crowd that had gathered. The shooting happening around 5:45 this evening. Police say when they got there, they found a nurse. A man was helping one of the victims who was lying in the street. That person who had been shot in the street unfortunately passed away there. As police were trying to get evidence at the scene and figure more out what was happening there, a crash happened not far away after a car sped away from that shooting scene. Police responded to that car crash and detained someone that was actually in that car. That crash happening at Marshall and Chatsworth. That person was brought in for questioning, but at this point police aren't sure the connection of that person who was in that vehicle and that vehicle itself to this shooting. But it created, multiple scenes to the point where more than 50 officers were responding between the crash scene, the shooting scene, and then at Regions Hospital because a person showed up there with a gunshot wound, presumably from being shot at that scene near Concordia and Western. Now, when we were there earlier, as I mentioned, we saw a large crowd. That's why there was such a vast police presence, and they were there for several hours up until at least 9:30 when we were there. We also talked with Dora Jones Robinson. She's a local activist with Guns Down St. Paul. This deadly shooting especially hurt her tonight. She says 2 men in their 20s were shot, and as you know, one of them died, and they were both part of her mentoring program when they were young teenagers with hopes of putting them on the right path.
We try to do right by them and give them another direction to go, but obviously some of them just already got into guns and violence and felonies, and then now they stuck with no way out.
Now, although police brought in that person for questioning who was involved in that car crash, and they plan to talk with that other shooting victim at the hospital, they say they still need more information to find out who was responsible for this homicide, the 18th of the year. And we keep talking about the rise in gun violence across the Twin Cities. St. Paul police just telling us their shots fired calls for this time this year compared to last year, up 140%.
Wow, what an increase. Okay, Jeff Wagner live in St. Paul. Thank you.